Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and with me on the panel today we've got Gabriel and Paul. In this episode we're going to be covering the 2-2 draw with York. Information that would have been helpful prior to Saturday is someone said, yeah, we always draw 2-2 with York, but okay, it didn't tell us that beforehand, otherwise everyone's predictions would have been quite obvious. And we're going to look forward to the bank holiday trip to Eastleigh. Yes, I use the phrase look forward to. Some people have never been there before, so let them anticipate it at least, everyone. Come on, it can't be that bad all the time. We love the engagements and the hearing from you. Please like, share, retweets. There was lots of lovely comments after last week. I enjoyed reading them and getting my little bit of dopamine from it. So do follow, share, and let all your friends know as well. So we're going to jump in and we're going to say, Gabriel, how have you been? It's been a little while. I didn't do the when you were last on thing because I was rushing today, but how have you been?
Good, generally good, but it was hard to watch and to talk about the end of last season because at least at a certain point we look destined to relegate, but then we had the host back and it was even more painful because of that.
Yeah. Hard for you. Can you imagine what it's like for me doing it every week? Hi, everyone. Smile. And Paul, how have you been?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Gav. Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yeah. I tend to switch off over the summer on the football stuff. So, although of course I did watch the Euros, and I did go to Croatia, and I went to Split, and had a little nosy around the football grounds of Split. So I was a bit sneaky there, but
not at all.
Yeah, I tend to switch off for the Sutton stuff. So it was nice to come back, but I was looking forward to it. And went to Wealdstone, but this was the first home game, so yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely, and a bit different as well.
Yeah.
Right, so you were both set some homework. I'm hoping you remembered it. And it's the Knowing Me, Knowing You section, and they still haven't copyrighted me for this.
Knowing me, knowing you. There's something we can do. Knowing me, knowing you.
Okay, so kind of a silly question, really, considering the makeup of a lot of our fans. But how can the club keep it going and attract more and more young supporters to the club? So, Paul, we'll start with you since you have a young supporter with you. So how can we attract more young supporters to the club?
Well, first of all, me buying his drinks and paying his money to get in.
Hang on, drinking his drinks as well. I'm just going to put that in there as well.
I'll finish your second pint. So, I don't know. I mean, it's the football at this level has got a USP there, hasn't it? That actually, first of all, value for money and cheaper than Premier League. The Premier League's getting so silly now that actually it's priced them out. So actually, and what do the kids want? They want that experience, don't they? They want that exactly the same experience that we want, and actually what you want at a Premier League game, the atmosphere and going with your mates, community spirit and all that kind of thing, moments. So if we can keep the price in, I reckon, and just get the atmosphere going and making it a day that they want to go to, then I think it'll get them through the turnstile. But the first thing has got to be, the price point's got to be right, really, I think. Mm-hmm. Says me at 55 and not having a clue, really. I mean, really, we should ask the kids, really, shouldn't we? So
we should. It's a random selection of questions that I've kind of gone on a little geeky spreadsheet going, right, this guest got this question this week. And I have only changed one because I got Claire on next week. And the question that she had was, if you could create a supporters event, what would it be? And I was like, well, that's a bit unfair because she's done that already, so we're not doing that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Look, the price point is important. I do think we've got slightly more open engagement between the powers that be, for want of a better word, and
Definitely.
our younguns,
Feels
because there's been a lot of talk with them over the summer. But Gabrielle,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts? How can we kind of get more of the younguns involved and coming to
Well,
games?
I remember last year that was an initiative of sending tickets to schools, and that was good. I could see people coming for the first time at the gate. The problem is the results didn't help because, especially for people who are not already attached, they are kind of result driven.
Yeah.
That you go to several losses and several draws. You're not the chances you're not drawn in as you are after a few wins.
Yeah, I mean, that is definite. You've always got to be really careful bringing kids to their first games. Otherwise, you end up with, like, my nephew. He was brought to Tottenham Man United, and Man United battered Tottenham, and he supports Man United. Little kid. But there is also, as Paul says, the atmosphere, the fact they can come in. There was one little girl boy yesterday. I was sort of leaving the loos, and she was saying how she loved it, and it was all great. And he was like, "What do you think about the game?" And she was like, "I didn't really see any." I was like, well, that's a good thing. I was like, you're going to learn lots of words, aren't you? Don't repeat them to mummy. But yeah, it's the whole package. And I think you're both dead right. Get the results right. It will follow, because there's nothing better than a winning team. It doesn't matter what the level you're at. If your team's winning, you just have that little swagger all the time.
You can look at the overall figures, because I know that before COVID actually, because that's the relevant number, the average was 1,800 here. Now it was over 2,500 at the first two games at the National League level, so one level lower. So you can say that the club is on the right track, and the figures this year are better, even better than expected for me.
Yeah, if there was better weather yesterday, we definitely would have hit the 3,000 mark.
Yeah. I'll be interested to know, Mike, what the drop-off is. I don't know. I haven't seen any data or anything. But the drop-off between 17, 18, 19, because, you know, that those initial season tickets at that early age, they're absolutely dirt cheap, aren't they? Bargain. Yeah. And then they jump quite a bit. And whether they were in relation to a wage of a 17, 18, 19-year-old or the income of it, I'm not so sure. But I'm sure people in the club have looked at this with a microscope. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be interested to know what the drop-off is.
Yeah, one of the big differences on the price point this year was they allowed free tickets to the under 14s. However, they have to be accompanied by an adult. So
yeah,
all the sort of young ones who may have been sneaking things in or not are suddenly
you can see the thinking behind
by an
that,
adult. Yeah. And the adult has to be over 18, not a. Yeah, it's not just someone that, in the next price point. I can't remember exactly what it is because I don't have anyone in that group. But yeah, what do you think? Let's hear your answers. How can we attract more younger, long-term supporters, not just people come and going? But they're doing very, very well. I will be having Seb on in a few weeks, actually, who's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes with all those flags and organising things. And we'll talk to him about the drum as well. But he does all right with the drum. I'll have to swallow that. So club news. There was a few changes to the match day experience, and it's evolving. So it is a feedback process. As I have said to one person, changing the way things work doesn't necessarily mean that they're backtracking. It just means they're listening to feedback and changing it. But yeah, do give them feedback. As I said last week, not just moaning that I don't like it, because we all know what I don't like. And the ladies' side, they won 6-0 today, and that's a brilliant result. But it's even better for me because I was under threat, because I did mention when I spoke to Lucy about her wonderful new striker and the striker's curse at Gander Green Lane. And Gabby scored 3 today, but she hadn't scored since I mentioned it. So I was in danger of being beaten, I think, probably. But yeah, well done to the ladies. And Gabby got a hat-trick, and someone else got the hat-trick as well. And I didn't write that one down. I was just so relieved that the curse had been lifted. But yesterday, we'll start with you, Gabrielle. What were your expectations prior to kick-off, both on 7 points? Would home advantage play? What were your expectations of the game prior to kick-off?
Yeah, exactly. I noticed that they are also on the top of the table. So it would have been a tough game. I don't know much about York. I know that they were sixth league, if not last year, 2 years ago for sure. I looked at our game on National League TV. I watched our game against Wellstone. We were good, but not that good. We had an ending in which it could have been a draw. You don't know what to expect. It's a totally new team. Most of the players are under 25 years old, except Ryan Jackson and Steve Arnold. And it can go each way. Yeah, and it could have gone each way because it was a very interesting match with the score going from one side to the other.
Yeah. And Paul, what were your expectations, thoughts ahead of kickoff? I mean, I know you said you went to Wilson, you haven't been to well at the Altrincham game, but
I mean, I certainly got a feel that the York would be a really good test. And I thought, as I say, I saw one game at Wealdstone, and I saw plenty of endeavour and commitment, and trying to play some good football, and just a team working at gelling itself together. Actually, it's still a bit bitty and stuff, but you can see it coming along. And and as you have said, that the age there, that some of the decision making, and actually some of the performance levels a little bit inconsistent and stuff. But you'd expect that, wouldn't you? But so I was, but I thought I put us down for a draw. I felt that we had a draw in us, and actually we nearly won it, didn't we? So and again the game itself, I thought there was very similar to Wealdstone. Again, lots of endeavour, some good football out there, a little bit inconsistent. But yeah, some really good signs that as this team plays more and more games together, that it's going to get better and better. And it was refreshing to see it being played along the ground. And what lovely grass it was.
Lovely. But were you surprised at all with Josh not starting? Considering he's had a couple of games where he scored already.
A little bit.
Surprised you, or were you expecting Steve?
Sorry, I was over you. Yeah, it was. I was actually, as you say, he's he scored a few, and he's one of the more experienced players. So as we know, we don't see him on the training field. We don't know what's been going on this week, do we? So
yeah. Also,
since they're still feeling their way in terms of what the starting 11 is, or whether there is a lot of squad rotation going on there.
Exactly.
Whether that's going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, he did already say that on some other interview I heard that there's sort of 4 big games coming up. So in 10 days or something. Yeah. So it's like, well, we need to manage this squad. What about you, Gabriel? Were you kind of surprised at any of the lineup, or were you again like, I don't know them enough to make a decision?
I was surprised because I noticed that he scored the important goals, but I also noticed at Wellstone that the coach goes for squad rotation. So I assume that this is what he means, and he rests some players, especially that there's the game tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, in the first half, we played a bit consistent in the first few minutes because we gave Altrincham a really good chance, we gave Wealdstone a really good chance, and we gave York a really good chance. So how are you kind of in the first few minutes? Gabriel, I think you were doing turnstiles yesterday, so you might not have seen the first few minutes. What did you get in?
In the 5th minute, I was in, I think.
Right. Okay. Not sure if it was before then or around then, but what did you think of like the start of the game? I mean, it was quite energetic, and they were hunting in packs. What did you think?
Yeah. We had a good start, and we had that huge chance resulting from our pressing. I also felt, and I heard people around me saying the same, that it could have been given a penalty because there's a obvious foul on before the pass and before the miss, but probably the referee considered that it was advantage enough having the goal in front. Yeah, the goal in front of him without the keeper in. So
Yeah.
That's why he didn't give anything.
Very much a fan of only advantage if it does go in, otherwise it comes back definitely for the penalty. Paul, what were you feeling in the first bit when they had a little scare and the overall pressing and so on?
Quite open, weren't we, at the
Mhm.
start there? Yeah, I mean, Felix shot over the bar, didn't he? And I think Boateng had a volley, didn't he, in the first, before Jaden Harris's miss. But it was very much a sign of what was to come in terms of how open the game was. I think it was backwards and forwards, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So both teams looking to play football. So it was. So I think from a very early start, we looked like we were in for an open game and some goals.
Yeah, you mentioned Felix. He was one of the very few players I've put my neck on the line going, right, Ollie Pearce had gone to York, and I was like, never mind him. I know everyone wanted to get in because he had scored like 4,000 goals or something last year, but I was like, Felix looks the player that we should be getting. Obviously, I didn't know about Faz or anyone, but that he's been involved in a lot of those goals. And obviously, it was a done deal that he went to York anyway. So, but he looked like a good player. I think if he was, and I hate to say these kind of things, but if he was a bit taller, he definitely would be playing levels above. But no, first half kind of petered out. We kind of all blocked each other out or cancelled each other out is the phrase, isn't it? So second half, I haven't actually dared to watch these goals back yet, but we started slowly and let them score after just sort of 5 minutes. What was your take on that, Paul?
I think the second half, they were certainly targeting our left side, weren't they? So they were definitely knocking it down that right flank and targeting our left side and getting some progress in that space. So I think it was Akinwumi, was it? Was that the first half or second? I can't remember actually. He had a good shot blocked from Muller, didn't he? But they definitely looked dangerous on the break coming down that left flank, and the goal. It was a funny one, wasn't it? It was direct again. It's funny. There was a lot of football being played, but a lot of it was the goals were from direct play, weren't they? So the through ball. It looked like. I mean, Steve Arnold did some cracking things yesterday, but it did come out. I don't know. I've only seen it once back, and it felt like he came out, committed himself a little bit early, and then committed himself chasing the player. I think that was the first goal, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, but he other than that, he had a good game. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Gabriel, what did you think of the first goal?
I was just coming back from the break, and I was just taking my seat when I found him, the guy on the right, and I watched the goal. But before that, I don't know how the build-up went. So I actually looked at the highlights this morning.
All right.
The guy that goes into the area has passed with a superb back heel. I don't know if you noticed that. I haven't noticed that watching. It's a back heel pass.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely superb.
Okay.
And I don't think Steve Arnold could have done much because the guy would have been alone with him anyway if he was on the line. There was no defender in that zone.
Fair enough. So, just Gabriel, where were you yesterday? Were you in the stands or?
In the stands, in the stands.
So our first goal, I don't know, Paul, whether you had the same. Well, you were behind the goal as well.
I was to the right of the goal. I was on the perfect angle of our goal. Yeah.
So to me, that looked like a really weak header. So as I was standing there and he's headed it, I was kind of like, he hasn't connected with that properly, and it's bounced down, and the keeper was then flapping, and it looped over the goalkeeper. But then watching the highlight, they put it out on Instagram or whatever. Watching it back earlier this morning, I was like, actually from the side, that's actually a really good goal. But it definitely didn't look quite as good from behind the goal, from my angle. But Gabriel, talk us through our equaliser, Will Davis scoring against his former club.
Also from the highlights.
Because
on the real time, you don't realize many things. You just watch and see the ball going into the net. He jumped very high. He had a super high jump for this goal. It's what you need. You can notice also that basically all our players are above 183. Only Ryan Jackson is below 180 tall. So you would expect that this superiority would give results in the end. In the first half, we didn't get much from the corners, but this goal came as a sign of our aerial superiority. I feel.
Perfect.
Yeah. They were actually. I was looking at them. I thought they looked quite small as a team. I don't think we were massive, but we were definitely small. There, but one player, I think it was, who you'd say was reasonably tall. But other than that, and it wasn't a surprise that we got the goal from the dead ball. Yeah, and as I say, I was directly in line on the angle of it, and it was all about that angle. So it was as you say, he didn't get as much power on it, but he got the angle on it, which hit us just inside the side netting and inside the post, and about the only place the goalie wouldn't have been able to get it actually. So and I was stood next to Mark, who's got a great photo of it, and he's stuck it on Twitter, isn't he?
Excellent.
Right next to Mark there.
Yeah, no, it's. As I said at the time, I was like, we got away with one there, but then watching it back, it's like, no, it's a much better goal than I ever gave credit for.
Yeah.
And Lewis's cross from the set piece, very, very nice. Then Josh came on and ran about a bit, scored a goal. He leapt quite high as well. And importantly, I think possibly for the first time, he found Paul for the celebration photos. He headed towards Paul because I've been moaning at him because I was like, all the photos of you with Paul's got from the back. Can you just go towards him a little bit? So I was like, yes, you did it. He was like, yeah, found him at last. But where were you thinking at this point? I mean, he's now matched his goals from last season in 4 games, and he hasn't started all those 4 games. So that's super impressive. But Paul, where were you thinking at 2-1? Or how did you see the goal as well?
Yeah. I mean, well, one, is he finding his form, or has he found his level, or is he in the right system? It's all those, isn't it? It's probably one of 3 or all 3. But the goal itself, I thought was great. It was a cracking header. It really was a cracking header because he's quite far out, isn't he? And he's got a decent amount of power on it, but it's all about the angle again, isn't it? He's got that right in the corner there. So great finish. And at 2-1, I still thought the game was open, and it wasn't dead. I thought there was still another goal there, and it could have come from either side. And they always looked dangerous on the break. So, but from 0-1 down, 2-1, lovely.
Yeah, well, 2-1, I was very excited because I'd gone for 2-1 and I'd gone for Will Davies' first goal scorer. So I'm sitting there going, I've got maximum here on the prediction league. This is awesome. And no, it wasn't to be. But Gabriel, how did you see Josh's goal? And how were you feeling at 2-1 with 75 gone off, 74, 75 gone?
71, 72.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, it was a great joy to go 2-1 after not creating that much, because maybe the goals were our only chances, major chances in this period. Josh is a great asset to this team. He shows a bit the difference between the level of National League compared to League 2 last year, because in League 2, okay, he had his moments, but maybe he wasn't so prolific. And we were hoping for a win, of course.
Yeah. I think Josh, the bits that Paul mentioned, there's also the bit he mentioned himself, his confidence. He knows Steve believes in him. He gets it, and he's full of confidence. So, obviously scoring a couple already is going to give his confidence a big boost. But they did take a late equaliser. I think, I can't remember where he put it, but Mark Bravery said that he feels is something that we're missing, a big lump that we can just chuck on when we need at the end. I'm not sure that fits in with Steve's philosophy. But how did you see the equaliser, and was 2-2 a fair result, Gabriel?
Before that, we had a better period for a few minutes after 2-1, in which we had a huge chance with, I don't know if I spell it right, Nadesan, or how do you spell it? Nadesan. Yeah, when he was alone with the keeper, basically, but he couldn't hold the ball.
And Charlie Waller came all the way through. I think that was at 2-1 as well, actually. Yeah, he came all the way through, and you're like, go on. And then as Paul was saying about decision making, he obviously decided he was going to pass it rather than just give it a lash, because obviously, as he's run the whole length of the pitch, he should have just finished it off. But and their keeper made a great save. There was another one where their keeper made a save really low down to the right as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, but maybe it was that corner when he had a header or a shot from the from the right.
But overall, 2-2. Did you feel it's fair for the game, or were you disappointed?
2-2 is fair. I feel that 2-2 is fair, but we had an incredible ingenuity also from the highlights at their goal. The two central midfielders do not drop deeper and leave our line of 4 against 5 opponents. There's definitely 5 opponents there and only 4 people to mark them. And this is where it results. And only one of the midfielders realizes and tries to come back, but it's too late. The other one doesn't even try to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they were tired, maybe it's the age and the inexperience, but it is a major ingenuity when you are up 1 goal and there's 5 minutes to go. That ball, you should expect that the ball will be played there. So 4 against 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's learning to manage the games, I think. But Paul, what do you think? Was it 2 points dropped or fair?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. If you're 2-1 up with 5 minutes to go, it's 2 points dropped in it. But I think the result was. I thought the result was fair. Yeah, they looked like they were good for a point, and it'll be interesting to see whether a point against York at home is a good result, wasn't it? They looked. I thought they looked pretty good, and we matched them. But I think 2-2 was a fair result. Yeah, could have been about 4-4, couldn't it? We've glossed over those 2 glaring misses there. I mean, that was. They destroyed both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
I think Jaden had a miss at some point as well. But I think so. Some of the players, I mean, looking at various different things, I think Jaden can be a big player for us. He's full of energy and running things down. There's little bits, as you said, there's bits of like slightly better decision making, but I think he could be good for us. Who stood out for you so far, Paul? I mean, 2 games only, but
it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think generally the composure and of trying to play out the back. I've been impressed with them all playing out the back and the confidence they've got and the will to do that. I think, especially they're playing for their careers and that, and there's potential for big mistakes there, isn't it? And but they've all looked good, and Tyler French looks good, I mean, they're not really standing out, but they all look as though they can play.
Yeah,
and I think some of the recruitment looks hats off to them. It looks really good for the tactic of the age and the potential and going down that avenue. So we've got some good players there.
Yeah, I think he said, Gabriel, part of it is either people coming up who want to prove themselves and go on to the next level, or people coming down who want to prove themselves to go back up. But who stood out for you so far, Gabriel?
Not so far, but yesterday I liked the guy from Ipswich, the midfielder.
Yeah.
When he was in, he looked like he knows what he's doing. He puts a lot of energy in. He looks a little bit fragile, but probably he isn't.
Yeah.
But I think it will be quite helpful for us when he will be fully fit and he will be able to play the full game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Besides that, I don't know. Nadesan has some qualities, but he didn't show them yet.
Yeah,
it's still due to show them. And also there's Josh, that is a very important asset. And in some moments, I like Boateng, and he showed some interesting qualities. But again, he has to show consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency leads us on. Unbeaten in 4. Magic number, 8 points from 4 games. That's 2 a game. Obviously, if that stays over the season, you're going to have a really good chance. We did have a few different comments, but actually the one I wanted to talk about is Nicholas Graham sent me an email, and he posed this question as a reason for optimism. And it was, how many other teams are in the league are in a similar position to us, having cleared out an entire squad and brought in a new team of players, and is still essentially figuring each other out. This is a conversation we kind of had a bit, Paul, where I was kind of trying to say, I can't quite find the words, and I still haven't, that this squad of players, or this team, you guys have both basically said it, they look like they're going to gel. And I think last year, no matter how many times I was saying I'm hopeful, they just weren't gelling. But this team, you can see that there's certain little things that are going to get better. So are you guys, I've done some research, so I have an answer, but are you guys aware of any teams who have had such a big clear out as us, or do you kind of think that we're massively out there?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't. I'm sure it's happened. It was certainly in my 7 years of following Sutton closely. I've seen nothing like it.
No. Well, in our league this season, we've had 17 in and 22 out, and Braintree have also had 17 in but only 14 out, and Gateshead have 15 in and 17 out.
Right.
Others have kind of, I think Barnet's 14. So it is a lot. So it's a lot coming in and out, a lot of different personnel. But it does feel, it does feel that, well, it's one team, I can't remember who it was now. One team had 4 in, 4 out or something. Okay.
Maybe that's more about us over the last 6 years, that actually we haven't had much of a clear out over the last 6 years or so.
Yeah. But can you put into words how you're feeling about the squad right now, for the optimism with how they're going to gel, or what you think can come from them? Paul, we'll go with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I am, I've seen 2 games. I've seen lots of endeavour. I've seen lots of potential there. You can see what Steve's trying to do with them. You can see that they're playing for themselves, each other, the team, the club. And I think that's and playing some really refreshing football. A lot of respect for Matt Gray's years and Matt Gray himself, but it was a different style a lot of the time. Although we did knock it around at times, but yeah, no, it's really excited for the season. Yeah,
perfect.
And definitely it got that. I mean, who knows, but who we've played and stuff, but it does have a whiff of top 6 about it. It really does.
So shout early on, Gabriel. What can you put into words how you're feeling about the squad at this stage? I know obviously there's lots can go horribly wrong in the next few weeks, months, but at the moment we're expecting it not to. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think the start is above expectations, especially after the poor game in the first game at Tamworth. But you need consistency, and this is a long season, and hopefully they will get better together. They will get to know each other. They will understand what is each colleague's strength and what they want, and it will look better. It's a really tough league and a tough season ahead. And the confidence is that the coach knows what he's doing. He did a very good job at Hornchurch last year. A bit. I feel that we should have used the midfields more, and we're passing. So we're not totally progressive play. We're different than we were last year, but that's not progressive play. It's National League play, with the ball going from the defender straight at the attackers to use their speed.
Yeah.
And also the system looks to me a bit like a 4-2-4 rather than 4-4-2.
I think it's 4-3-3 is what he's kind of aiming for. I think Jaden is more of an attacking midfielder. I think I'm not sure, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah. It's also players that all know 4-4-2 anyway, so they kind of all revert back into what they know anyway. But yeah, no, there's things that are going to develop as you said. And one thing I'm fairly sure we don't want to get afraid of making their decisions or doing things, because we know with the young players comes a bit of confidence and a bit of fun. And if you start criticising them for every little decision they make, they'll start overthinking it. Josh said that on when I had him on a couple of weeks ago. He said what he was doing is when he was getting into good positions, he was suddenly thinking, well, I don't want to cross it and get the blame if someone doesn't do anything. So he was passing it back to Jackson for him to cross it and get the blame if someone didn't do anything with it. So yeah, we got to keep backing the guys. Not that I'm saying either of you criticised them. It's just in general, we're going to try and do it. Right, so here's another new little bit, another little sound clip. It's the good, the bad, and the funny. So I hope you thought about this over yesterday. It can be anything to do with your match day experience. It does not have to do with the match itself. So, Gabriel, we'll start with you. What was good yesterday? What was good about the day?
I feel that the attendance is quite good for a rainy day. It started to rain pretty badly half an hour before the game. I've been at the away gate, and the away supporters that came were soaking wet, really.
Yep. Nope. I'd actually written that one down as well. Paul, what was your good?
I'd say it was my first home game this season. So, and the away end being the new home end really works for me.
Yep.
The stand itself, of course, the fact that we've got us packed in there with the youth, actually, and who they've got the flags up and they're doing a really good job with that. And there was a good atmosphere in there. So I'm going to give the away end that's the new home end the good.
Absolutely. Paul, what was bad about the day? Again, it doesn't have to be anything to do with a match.
Bad.
You may not have heard it. We had Neil and Alex moaning about their travel.
Do you know what? I will go for something. And it was really mine. And I think we've made a lot of changes, haven't we? And I think a lot of the changes have been really good. And the club have been listening and stuff. And it's been, and I think, as I say, I did the fan zone yesterday, did the away end, home end. I walked to the bar and it was all good in the hood. Obviously, bits and pieces need improving, but it was a really good day out from that perspective. The little thing for me was I can't see the scoreboard. I didn't know what the time of the game was, and it was driving me nuts. I didn't realise how much I must look at the clock in the game because it was I couldn't see it. It was driving me mad.
Yeah.
So can we have a little mini clock at the other end, please?
Yeah, I have to say, when that scoreboard got first installed, there was me and a load of other people go, what the hell do we want a scoreboard for? We all know how long's left of the match. Don't be stupid. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I really do look at that quite often.
Yeah.
Gabriel, what was bad for you on the day?
Well, a personal thing, I was planning to bring my son to the game, and he was very excited. He's 7 years old. He was very excited about that. But given the heavy rain, I couldn't rely on the cooperation of the mother. And he didn't came in the end because they would have had to walk through all that rain to bring him to the gate to me. So it would have been too complicated.
Yeah, no, it's always hard bringing them to because they get bored and they don't want to watch it. And there's loads for them to do, but they then start moaning at you. They want to go home after about 20 minutes. You're like, no, you're here for the whole thing, child.
He started to watch full games. He started to watch full games at the Euros. So I was relying on him that he will be interested for the whole game. But I told you the weather.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And Gabriel, what was funny about the day for you? Again, anything.
Funny. It was funny. I even wrote to you on the group that not having Dominic Feldham to take care of the turnstile people, we were just sent from one person to another. Just go get your machines from underneath the score board. That was locked. Nobody even told us where to go. Dominic used to tell us, hey, you go to that gate, open at 13:30. Now we were left to have our own decisions, basically.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Paul, what was funny for you?
I mean, we all like a glaring miss from the opposition, don't we? So Akinyemi's missed from about 6 yards out. I think he must have took his eye off the ball or anything, but completely missed it. Kicked the ball onto his own foot, and that was highly amusing. We'll gloss over our own miss, obviously.
No,
That's not
absolutely,
funny.
yeah, we won't talk about that at all. To be fair, mine was things must be going all right because we had lots of people moaning about the announcer. So it's like no one's ever been able to hear the bloody announcements. What does it matter? So yeah, mine was funny that it was her first time, and I think as Mark said, that's a historic moment for a start. But yeah, people moaning I couldn't hear what she was saying and all this. It's like, well, neither could you when you're on the curve.
We had a well, you could actually hear it where we were stood. We could hear her where we were stood because there was a. I mean, as you say, what was the announcer and what is the actual system? As far as I could work out, it's the system troubles as usual. System. She was clear. She was slower. That was key. She was slower.
Yeah.
She obviously definitely a bit of training in there, isn't there? You can tell.
Yeah,
she's
I think.
Slower
I'm not sure with the club, whether it's professional or not, I don't know, but she does a lot of the socials as well. So I think there's definitely something there. But yeah, I've been in the ground when there's hardly any fans there at all, even standing on the curver, and it comes over as sound as a bell. So when they're testing it and they're checking it in an empty stadium, it sounds lovely everywhere. Yeah. But it's not the case when people are there. Right, normally we would move on to the free Q preview where I have an opposition fan coming and joining us. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out this week. They had a quick family emergency this morning, so they weren't actually able to join us. So I don't have that side of it. It's an away game, so it's not so important. It won't need to go in the programme. But what do you guys think of the game coming up? I mean, they're 4-4. Gabriel, what are you expecting from the Eastleigh game, or is it still way too early in the season to kind of start worrying about the league table and how people have gone so far?
It is important. It is always important, a result, because it may look decisive at the end of the season. It puzzles me a little bit that we are already announcing with all these changes and with all this new team that we are planning to fight for returning to the AFL. I think we're not Wrexham, we're not Notts County to say that. We should wait until March, and then if we have the points, speak about this. But if we want to be there, we shouldn't lose tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's clear.
Yeah, I think you're meaning a club looking to get back to the EFL tweets and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
I have pointed out that if we don't do it, they're going to get up to day 1800 of a club trying to get through to the back to the Football League. And the answer was, yeah, why not? Paul, what do you think about the game? And is it early to judge Wrexham? Wrexham. You got me saying Wrexham. Eastleigh's performance so far with 4 from 4.
It is still a bit early, isn't it? Because we don't know what the standard of the teams that they beat. For all we know, they'll be in the bottom 6 or something, couldn't they? But they're 4 from 4. So they've got to be doing something right. But certainly nothing to fear. We've scored 9 goals in 4 games. We've put some good defensive performances in long periods anyway together. So definitely in with a crack at them. But as the league table shows that they're, at the very least, they're riding confidence and full of it at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the ones to aim for, so everyone's got to give it a go. Right, so we'll do predictions in a second. Hopefully I've done this right this week. No, I'm still covering some of it. Marvellous. So the Prediction League top 10, obviously it's only 4 games in, but Pessimistic PC is in there. There's lots of names in there. I'm not seeing Derby in there, defending champion. But... we did have a first maximum. I'm almost certain this is a rude thing, but thank Lizzie, I think it is. It's probably something incredibly funny and rude to youngsters, but I don't know what it means. So, but yeah, that's top 10 there. So there's lots to play for. There's 8 points a game. So if you want to join in, the code is going to be on the screen now. You can see it obviously. But Gabriel, what's your prediction for the match?
Well, I'll go for an optimistic 1-1.
Okay, lovely. Paul, again, obviously, same rules apply. You can put it in just an hour or just before kickoff if you wish. So whatever you say now is a guide.
I mean, I was thinking 3-1 to Eastleigh, to be honest.
Okay.
I think that's, yeah, I'll have a bigger think about it. But yeah, 3-1 I'm going to go for Eastleigh. Obviously, I hope it isn't. But your new rules are Mickey Mouse anyway, Mark. It's a 2020, like some kind of 2020 version of podcast prediction league. Not the pure game it was last year.
I think it's great. Especially yesterday when I thought I was going to get 8 points. I was like, this is amazing.
I think I'm bottom. Well, certainly bottom.
I didn't actually check that. But I'm going to go with 2-1 because once again, it's got to happen sometime for 2-1. It can't possibly never be 2-1 again. It's looking likely, but hey ho. Right. So we are going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate your attention and feedback. Follow, like, and share this episode at Sutton Podcast on social medias. The artwork this week will be with Lewis Massingham Rao. So it'll be one of his pictures on the artwork. Don't forget, send me pictures of the match days and I'll pick one and give you a shout out on the podcast. Yesterday, I had quite a few people saying hello to me, some sort of people I've never met before. So I'm guessing being in the program does help somewhat. So welcome to any new listeners. Follow us on all the social medias at Sutton Podcast and subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms and give us the little thumbs up on YouTube whenever you like something. We will be back on Wednesday, which is 2 days after the match. So I definitely won't remember anything. But hopefully Joe and Claire will get the questions sent in. As always, thank you to the sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. And a big thank you to today's panel, Paul and Gabriel. And thank you to the listeners. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care and we'll catch up soon. Bye-bye.
United! 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 United!